Hey Canucks fans, hope you're well on this Thursday afternoon. Today, my lovely wife Gail turns 50 years old. Yes, between the two of us, we are now 100 years old, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. But thank you for everyone who has sent their greetings, either through last night's live stream or on X today or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you guys follow me. Appreciate that, going for a big Korean dinner tonight, and I cannot wait for all of that. Members live stream tonight at 11 p.m. So if you're a member, Legend Hall of Famer, franchise member, make sure you join me. I want to talk about two things, two stories, two of the biggest stories that came from last night's big 4-3 Vancouver Canucks victory in the shootout over their division rival Calgary Flames. We know that both teams are tied with 71 points in the standings. Flames have 18 games remaining. Canucks have 17 games remaining. So yes, the Flames do have one game in hand, but at least the Canucks gained a point on them in the standings with that extra time victory last night. Let's talk about the Calgary Flames news first, because it affects the Canucks, obviously, or it affected a Canuck last night. And then I want to talk about Quinn Hughes and his leadership. But first, Flames forward Connor Zary suspended 2 games by the NHL Department of Player Safety for his elbow on defenseman Elias Pettersson last night. We remember the play just in the first period. Nazem Kadri comes over the line and DPD hits him with a hard but very fair and very clean hit, and the NHL reiterated that today. And immediately after that, Connor Zary beelined towards DPD and then hit him with a high elbow to the back of PD's head, DPD's head, not expecting it, then crumbled to the ice. Came out for one short shift afterwards and then did not play for the rest of the game. Then Zary only was assessed a 2-minute minor yesterday. Canucks fans were understandably enraged, and today he got hit with a 2-game suspension from the NHL Department of Player Safety. And they said this. They said basically it comes down to it was an elbow. It was an elbow, and it was high, and it was late, and it was retaliatory. So it was deliberate. So they made a point of saying that DPD's hit on Kadri was clean. And then after the hit, they used the words that Connor Zary disregarded the play, and he tracked DPD directly, raised his elbow and his forearm, and elevated upward into Pettersson's head. So yes, a high, intentional, avoidable elbow to Pettersson's head. I actually said on my live stream last night that I thought that Zary would get 2 or 3 games, and sure enough, he does get the 2 games. And they also said he used the requisite force and that it was an intentional response. So for all those reasons, it was pretty black or white. I'm not just saying this because it happened. It was a Calgary Flame that did it to a Vancouver Canuck. I'd certainly be saying the same thing if the roles were reversed and it was a Canuck player that delivered this intentional hit. So once again, Connor Zary suspended for 2 games by the NHL Department of Player Safety. We don't know how long that DPD is going to be out for. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully they just kept him out for precautionary reasons last night, but we'll see how quickly, if and when he returns to the lineup. It's too bad because the timing's kind of really bad because we just traded away Carson Soucy last week. So we'll hear more news about defenseman Elias Pettersson hopefully in the next couple of days. I want to talk about Quinn Hughes. I want to talk about how good of a leader he is, and obviously we know how good of a player he is. He'd probably be a Hart Trophy candidate, maybe not the winner, but a candidate if he was healthy all season. Same for the Norris. I think it's going to go to Cale Makar just because Makar's been a little more healthy. In previous years, it's been reversed. Like last year, Makar was hurt more than Hughes, but this year it's definitely been Hughes that's been more injured than Makar. But forget about the trophies for now. The impact that Quinn Hughes has on this team, obviously as the captain, as their best player, as the one-man breakout, as the one-man entry. And we saw he played 29.5 minutes in his first game back. I'm sure he didn't want to play that long, or that much, but with DPD going out in the first period, all the guys, the remaining 5 defensemen had to play a lot more. And by the way, last night's win was big for so many reasons, playoff implications, Pettersson scoring a goal and assist. I'll get to that in a second. But the fact that the Canucks did that on the second night of a back-to-back with travel against a team that was sitting there in their home city resting or waiting for them for 3 days and doing it with only 5 defensemen for the majority of the game, add in all those reasons, add them all up, and it was such a big, important character win for the Vancouver Canucks, and it was so good. And Elias Pettersson was a big part of it. Quinn Hughes was a big part of it. So Quinn Hughes, as I was saying, you saw his immediate impact, the way he just calms everything down, the way they exit the zone, the way they enter the zone, the way they keep the puck in the zone, especially on a power play, even though there was that one gaff by that led to the shorthanded goal. especially in overtime, 3-on-3, where the Canucks held the puck for probably 95% of that 5-minute extra frame. And you saw it on the power play goal, where Petey and Hughes kind of reigniting that old chemistry, back and forth before Hughes puts it at the net, and then Jake DeBrusk tips it in past Dustin Wolf. But what I was most impressed with, yes, I was impressed with Petey's game, with the assist on that power play goal, with the game-tying goal with 6 minutes left, putting away that rebound that Wolf let out after the Mancini point shot. All those things were good. But I was actually, and Pettersson's shootout goal as well, but I was most impressed with what Quinn Hughes had to say about Elias Pettersson after the 4-3 victory. And Hughes did 2 interviews that I saw. One of them was with Ryan Leslie at Sportsnet. The other one was the typical media scrum with all the reporters from Vancouver and Calgary. And he talked about returning to the lineup, how he felt better than he did the last time he returned from injury. We know he's not 100%. Pettersson even admitted that, even though he kind of giggled and said, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. But everyone knows that Quinn Hughes isn't 100%, but everyone knows how much he means to this team, and he's going to be a big part of their playoff push. Can you imagine Quinn Hughes played 4 Nations, by the way? It kind of makes that whole discussion everything that happened kind of silly, right? But that's for another vlog. In those 2 interviews, one with Sportsnet and one with the media scrum, when he talked about Pettersson, so he talked about himself first, but then when we moved on to Petey, and this is one thing I love about Quinn Hughes as a leader, he rarely talks about himself. He'll say he had a good game, bad game, that he's decided to be back. But he was asked about Petey, but he was not afraid to talk about Petey glowingly in both of those interviews. And in both interviews, he referred to how tough of a season it's been for Elias Pettersson. How in one interview he said that he's taken a lot of crap this year, and that he hasn't had a good year. But in both interviews, he said how happy he is for Petey, that he's playing so well recently, how proud of him that he is, that he's bringing his A game, and that he's a great player. And you don't get to the level that Petey is at without putting in the work, without having inner jam and desire, is what Hughes said, without being highly competitive. And he basically said for Petey to show up the way he has been in the last few games, Quinn Hughes says that's big time, and that he expects Petey, they're going to need him to do that, and he fully expects Petey to show up because he's a gamer and because he's one of the best players around. So for Quinn Hughes, imagine Petey, like I know they've been close, they came in the league together, and I'm not saying that Hughes picked Petey over Miller. I'm not sure how involved he was in that discussion, maybe not at all. But we know the history between Hughes and Petey, that they came in together, and they've been the 2 cornerstones of this franchise for years. So I think that Hughes is loyal to Petey. I think Hughes wants Petey to succeed, obviously, for himself and for the team. And I think Petey's success is low-key going to be a big factor in whether or not Quinn Hughes decides to re-sign here in a couple of years. Having said all that, it's so awesome to hear your captain, your leader, talk about you like that. And if you're Elias Pettersson, and I'm not commenting on it, how strong his mental game is, or how strong or how fragile his confidence may be right now. But if you're Elias Pettersson, it can't hurt. It's awesome to hear your captain, your leader, the one who carries the most kind of sway and the most gravity in his words out of all the Canucks players, for him to speak glowingly about you, affirm you, praise you, compliment you, flatter you, that's gotta mean something. And I think it's simply gonna continue to fuel Petey. He's gonna have that confidence in the back of his mind that, hey, the best player on this team, the captain, believes in me. Therefore, that's another reason why, not the only reason, but that's another reason why I'm gonna go out and perform and continue to improve, make progress, and get back to the high level player that we know he can be. So I don't think I'm overstating it. I hope I'm not. You might say, well, Clay's just words. What else is Hughes gonna say? Yeah, I have time for that argument, but I do think there's nothing wrong with what Hughes had to say. In fact, every little bit helps, and we need every little inch, every little thing that we can get for this last 17 games, for this playoff push. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that Hughes not only returned to the lineup, played really well, didn't get hurt. At least that's what we know right now. And most importantly, for him to speak as glowingly as he did about Petey, I think it's awesome. So one, Petey gets injured, which leads to a 2-game suspension for Connor Zary. The other Petey has a goal and assist, a shootout goal as well, and is one of the main factors why he won. And he's got his captain talking about him glowingly. So Canucks fans, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on these 2 stories. What do you think of the Connor Zary 2-game suspension? Too much, too little, just right? And what do you think of Quinn Hughes' comments about Elias Pettersson? And do you agree with me that this can be another motivating factor, another way to get Elias Pettersson back to his high caliber of play. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget, members, it's a live stream for you tonight at 11 p.m. I hope that you join me right here on this YouTube channel. Shout out to my sponsors, Van City Experts Real Estate, Coach Petchley, Weight Loss Coach, and thanks to all of you for watching, liking, and subscribing. Also, shout out to my members, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Andrew Chang, Hall of Fame and franchise members. I hope to see you all at 11 p.m. tonight. Thanks to all of you. Once again, you can like the video, you can subscribe, you can leave a donation on your way out, but definitely leave a comment, your thoughts on these two stories. 2-game suspension for Connor Zary, and then the way that Quinn Hughes talked Elias Pettersson up after last night's big win. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.